Hi, everybody. Welcome to our show. It has nothing to do with age or gender. Um, on my right is
Tony.
Tony. Tony. And on my left is I'm really happy to introduce, and it's such a pleasure and honor to have you on the show, which is the new race director for Western States.
Craig Thornley.
Great. Welcome to our show.
Did I get that right?
You got that. You got that right. You got that right.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
And so, what I wanted to begin with is this quote, and then I want to see and have you relate to this quote, and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Okay. This is by Leo Rostin, and I may repeat it a few times if I need to, because it's more than one sentence. It's a long quote. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be honorable, to be compassionate. It is, after all, no matter to count to stand for something, to have made some difference that you have lived at all. Does that need to be repeated, or
No.
you got it?
That's powerful. Yeah.
Tell me.
What do I think?
Well, how does that relate to you?
Well, I definitely can relate to that quote. I have wanted from high school time, to make a difference in other people's lives. I didn't want to just go through the motion of getting a job and getting a paycheck and having a house, and I aspired to do more, and I think I've lived that in variety of activities that I've gotten involved with.
Tell us about them.
Well, I've been a member of the National Ski Patrol for 14 years.
Could you tell us a little bit about what that is?
The National Ski Patrol is a volunteer organization, mostly volunteer organization, across the United States and North America. 28,000 members.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot. And local patrols patrol at mountains, mostly volunteer instructors, and the actual patrol days or duty days are non-paid. And then there's regions that could be anywhere from 8 to 25 patrols. So they'll have a board of directors at the region level, and they'll do joint training at that at that local regional level. And then there's 10 divisions in the United States, one in Europe, and then that's on top of all the regions. And then the region is part of.
This is a big deal.
And then there's a national organization, national board of directors, volunteer, and we have an executive director. So I've been a member of the Willamette Pass Ski Patrol for 14 years.
So that means you're a good skier.
Well, I'm an okay skier. I mean, I'm kind of
okay skier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I can take a sled down
any,
anything. But
any events you can tell us that you were involved with doing that? Any rescues or any things that?
Sure, I've been involved in a lot.
In 14 years, you must have been.
I've been involved in a lot of rescues. Probably the most serious incident I've been involved in was a mid-shaft femur fracture. That was probably 6 or 7 years ago.
What is that? Tell
A mid-shaft femur fracture is when in the middle of your femur bone you have a fracture, and it's a very dangerous fracture because it bleeds a lot, and it'll also start bleeding, into the leg. So it's a life-threatening injury. You got to put a traction splint on it, so that for one thing, it closes that envelope where all the blood can pool. And then the other is if it's a displaced fracture, the bones can be
It pulls the
causing
bone
more.
kind of apart, so it doesn't.
Yeah. So that was probably the most serious, but many of the more interesting, I don't want to say exciting because some people are
Well, maybe it
victims here,
is both.
but it's been the searches that I actually I enjoy those just as much or more than the actual trauma. And
What
so
is
far
it?
I haven't had any searches that ended in body recovery. So maybe I'd change my tune if I had.
Yeah.
They've all turned out pretty.
But what
pretty
is it
well.
about the search that's?
Well, what I really like is the teamwork, and in searches you end up getting multiple jurisdictions involved. So if you're doing it overnight, the county's going to be involved, and you'll bring in search and rescue organizations from other counties or the technical rescue organizations, the mountain rescue organizations. So we all study ICS and we operate under incident command system, so it's easy to fit these groups together, and it's pretty satisfying to see all these groups work together.
Teamwork is so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. So I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
14 years.
14 years, yep.
Wow. So that was in Oregon, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm still the Oregon region director.
Okay? So you
I have until next April. So I haven't left Oregon yet.
You haven't. I thought
found your home here yet.
I'm looking for a home here, but I still have the rest of my term. I'm not gonna Sarah Palin it and quit. Wait, we weren't supposed to laugh.
No, I like it. That's okay.
Okay, so you haven't found a home yet here in.
Well, we're in escrow right now.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
In Auburn.
Yeah.
Oh,
Roby Point.
Did
great.
you find one?
You
found one?
did.
Yeah, we did.
You did. No
Yeah.
kidding.
We actually found this house in February, but it was a flip, and they wouldn't let us make an offer on it until they were done.
Huh.
And then they finally put it on the market, and we got in a multi-counteroffer bidding war thing, and we lost out to the almighty cash buyer, and the almighty cash buyer fell out of escrow. So we were second in line. So we're in now.
You said
Good.
you're serious, and
Congratulations.
you're not serious
About the house?
No, just in general. You said you're serious.
I was told, yeah.
You're not serious.
I am a very serious guy.
Well, if there may be some people, like we just met earlier, who didn't know about Western states.
Right.
So Roby Point is a part of the. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about Western states and
Well, sure.
people who may not know.
Sure. The namesake, Roby, is named after Wendell Roby, who was the man who had the vision of riding, from Squaw Valley to Auburn,
50-some years, 19.
He was in 1955,
In the
so
50s, yeah.
however many years that is.
A lot.
And that ended up, the horse race was going on for 19 years when Gordy Ainsley, decided to run it instead of ride his horse. That was 1974. And then it just kept getting more popular every single year. 77, it was an official event, separate from the horse race in 78, I believe. And it's just gotten more and more popular. It gave birth to the 100-mile trail run, not ultra running. I know some people think that Western States claims to be the first ultra. That's not at all the case. Gordy was the first one to go 100 miles in the mountains, and I don't know how many there are now. Is there 90 something 100 milers in this country?
That many?
Maybe more.
You can almost go every weekend.
It grows every year. We get more. So
But talk a little bit about the journey.
the journey
Started.
from Squaw to Auburn, it's a long way. It's 100 miles, right? For the run starts in Squaw, Squaw Valley, where the 1960 Olympics were.
Mm-hmm.
You go up 2,500 feet right out of the gun, and if you've been there for the start, the first few days, if there's people that haven't been there before, they look up at that first climb and like, what in the heck
What am I doing here?
It's pretty intimidating. That's a really big ski area with multiple sets of lifts. So you climb up that, and then you basically just go all the way downhill to Auburn, with a few little climbs out of some rivers and drainages and a little bit of heat, something like that,
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So some of it, goes through some of the gold towns, the old gold mining towns, Deadwood and
Last Chance.
Michigan Bluff
Yeah.
and Last Chance,
Mhm.
and so there's rich history. If you spend some time outside of the race, where you can go to some of the cemeteries in Michigan Bluff, that's where you really start feeling the history. People came from back east and tried to make a better life, hoping they're going to strike it rich, and people died young. It was hard.
Yeah,
Lots of
funny story, Deadwood Cemetery, and
Mhm.
the vet stop for the ride was always right there, just before the cemetery, until they moved it down the road. But it was always right. I never had seen the cemetery.
Really?
In the 20 years I had rode there, going through there, I never saw the cemetery until I drove up there one day just on my own and went to the cemetery to see. I said, I'm going to see this cemetery. It's just 2 feet from where the vet stop was.
Yeah, there's another place, Pacific Slab Mine, right near Last Chance, that we run right by.
Right,
and
we did,
and
that's right.
many people have never seen it. Because
What's it
it's
called?
Pacific Slab Mine,
I don't know if I've seen it.
because it's, an eighth of a mile, not even that. It's a couple hundred yards.
You see the old equipment.
I guess an eighth of a mile is 200 yards, so it's about an eighth of a mile probably.
But you know how focused you get.
I know, I've been there on training runs with folks, and let's go take this little journey across there. But the good news is, the Pucker Point Trail, which goes from Dusty Corners to Last Chance, and it kind of comes back out on the road.
Right.
Well, that's going to be extended so that it goes through Pacific Slab Mine, so that runners will actually get to see. Wow, there's a gold mining town that was preserved by the feds, and there's buildings there, and I think that'll help lend some history, some appreciation for what
Okay.
we're running through.
So why Roby Point then?
Oh, well,
You had to have a house in Roby Point. Why Roby Point?
well, that's where we come out of the canyon for the last time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about 1.5 miles, I think a little bit less, for the runners when we get to Roby Point to the finish. The horses go a little bit different.
Yeah,
They
it's
go to
almost about the same. It's about 1.5 miles to
go to the overlook.
the overlook. Yeah.
So yeah, it's mile 99 or so. I'll be right there. Right there.
For
Well, I won't be sleeping
you
there.
won't even be there
No,
during the
but
ride.
no, but it's pretty close. You can hear the announcer when they're.
So this
I mean,
is
I've tried out the deck. I know I
you
don't.
have.
Oh, I had
You
to.
have.
Which side of the
make
road
sure.
is it on?
It's on the south side of Virginia Street. So when you get to the
Okay.
top, the very last bit of the climb, you make a left on
okay.
Virginia Street, and it's two houses down. So it's
So
right
does
there.
that mean the next time you do the run, you're going to have a little aid station?
Oh no! It's one of those eighth of a mile things off.
Not
You
going
can't
there.
go there.
You can't go there. Yeah.
No, but I'll have lots of friends that'll be spending time there, and running on the course, and yeah, it'll be great. It's a big house, and for us it's big open room, big deck. So we'll have lots of.
So are you going to be working
gatherings.
here then in Auburn?
I think I'm going to do this race director job. I think I'm going to try that out.
In addition, though,
I have no plans to do any.
you have no
any-
plans.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I haven't worked full time except for 2.5 years of my life at Motorola
Don't
as a
wanna
software engineer.
Don't want to spoil that.
No, I don't like doing that. So I have plenty of other volunteer activities that I do.
Well, that's great. You can do that.
Yeah, well,
That's-
it's not that hard if you just make that your goal,
Uh-huh.
and you get used to living that way. but once you started making full-time money, it's hard for people to go back if they've gotten in debt up to that level.
Okay.
But I'll probably join a patrol here, and I might get involved in Placer County Search and Rescue.
Okay.
Well, tell us about your run. You're a runner, obviously.
I've run a few
You've
times.
run a few times, and how did you get into? I mean, I know part of the story and how you learned about Western States, but how did you get into running?
Well, in 7th grade, I went out for track, and that was in San Jose. And I wanted
What
to be.
kind of track in 7th grade?
Well, I thought I was going to be a sprinter.
But
so I went to, I don't know, it was a
in
cinder
gym,
course.
for gym? In gym,
No,
you mean?
we had middle school track
Really?
in San Jose. Yeah.
No
So I went out
kidding.
for the 100-meter dash.
Okay.
Or I think it was 100-yard at the time, the 100-yard dash, and I came in dead last.
Really?
And the coach said, maybe you should think about running the mile, Craig. So then I did. I started running the mile. I was a little better at the mile than I was at the 100.
So what was your first time, first mile time?
My first mile time?
Yeah.
I remember I ran 5:28 in, I think that was 7th grade.
7th grade?
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was right.
So, but I was terrible at the 100. I was like 14 seconds or 15 seconds. Or, I don't know, it wasn't very fast.
But that's only 7th grade.
Yeah, well, there are plenty of other faster folks than I was. So then I started running.
Well, before that, though. So
yeah.
what was it about track? Why would you go out for track?
Well, I played other sports. I played basketball. I played football my freshman year in high school, but I didn't like it when...
We're talking about 7th grade, though. Let's go back.
Oh, yeah. So 7th grade, I played basketball.
Okay.
Still have the basketball jersey from that.
All right.
Herman Junior High School.
All right.
Yeah. And then, what else did I do in 7th grade? I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but I do remember playing.
But prior to
other sports.
Okay, prior to 7th grade, though.
Oh, I was into doing stuff outside as much as I could. I played around. I did some bad things too, but I did some outdoor stuff. So
Everybody we've interviewed so far, Tony, as a kid,
did bad stuff? No.
well, no,
one degree or another, probably.
No, that played outdoors and did stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to being
What most of the kids seem to do now, which is
with the electronic stuff.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have the electronic stuff, so we didn't really have a choice, right?
Okay, but still, you're outdoors. You're playing. You're doing sport. You're active.
Yeah.
Doing stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, 7th grade track. Was there anything other? I mean, there were other choices you could have made in 7th grade. Baseball.
Oh, I played baseball too. I was a little league player.
Okay.
Now you see, my brain is all Western State stuff. So I did play baseball. I forgot.
Western who?
Western States.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I did play little league for quite a few years until they started throwing it fast. Kind of like my football. When the guys got bigger and they wanted to hit me hard, I got into the senior league. They started throwing faster, and I didn't like getting hit. I didn't like that. So.
Okay, so you did lots of sports.
Yeah, so baseball was fun for maybe, 4 or 5 years, and then it started getting a little too serious for me.
Okay.
And it was probably freshman year.
So he's talking about getting serious. So
they did. They got serious.
Well,
baseball got serious.
But
Little
the
league
point I want to make is that isn't Western States serious running 100 miles?
Yeah, it's pretty serious, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But no one's throwing a ball at you.
That's right. You get to totally control when the hurting stops and how much it hurts. You could control that, and you couldn't do that with football or with baseball when they're throwing the ball at you as fast as they could.
So running was a better fit for you?
Yeah. So I hadn't really thought of it that way, but yeah, it's probably a better fit for me because
no one's trying to hurt you.
Yeah, I like basketball, so I like the team aspect of basketball. So I wasn't trying to avoid team sports. I think it was more the getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I know you hurt yourself in running, so Probably
Next
doesn't make much
question in
sense,
terms,
but
okay, so what kind of injuries have you had?
with running.
Yeah.
Well, right now I have a stress fracture, the distal femur, which has been really frustrating because it's hard to let that thing heal. I skied a lot this year. I skied 40 days, patrolled 40 days, and I think I did some damage. Didn't know what was going on, and then towards the end of the season, I was trying to ramp up so I could run some ultras, and didn't happen. And we didn't know what it was for a while, so I was running on a stress fracture, which was not good.
And it should just heal by doing that. I mean, just
well, I'm trying to not.
You don't have to.
Well, the doctor, I saw PT for a while, and we were doing exercises trying to correct biomechanics. We didn't not realizing that it was a stress fracture. So correcting the biomechanics, we're not going to help it heal, right? So luckily, this PT realized pretty early that I better go get some pictures, and so I had X-rays first, and X-rays were negative. Of course, you go to the orthopedic surgeon, and he says, "You've been running. You're a 100-mile runner. You've been running for 35 years, and your knee hurts."
Duh.
Yeah, and I want you to fix it. You know, tell me what's wrong. So after we got over that, the X-rays were fine. I still have space between my bones down there, which he said was a good thing. And then we did the MRI, and it was difficult because I'm traveling between Oregon and California, so there's big delays in between when I can see, you know, making appointments and stuff was hard. So I finally got an MRI, and then that showed that the bone was all lit up. But I've had pretty much every injury in my 35 years. So,
Such as?
well, I had IT band syndrome that knocked me out for 4 months back in the 90s, early 90s. That was the hardest one. Tibialis anterior, the good old downhill Western States injury. You know, from trying to catch yourself, the eccentric contraction of the tibialis anterior.
So you run fast down. You run fast down hills then.
I think I do, but some of my friends run faster than I do, so I get dropped. But yeah, it's pretty fast.
You're not as dropped as fast as I am.
Well, Tony says, okay, this show is about mental toughness. So what is the difference between mental toughness and injury, dealing with
the difference between?
Well, we kind of talked about this coming in. He's trying to write something about mental toughness. I said, well, where's the difference between being mentally tough and stupid?
Yeah, well, you know, chronic injuries are very different than, I think, running yourself into the ground in a race, if that's what you're referring to. And training errors are pretty easy to introduce when you're trying to ramp up for a big race. So if you add too much stress too quickly, either in terms of intensity or volume, you're going to get injured, right? So I don't in my mind, that's a very different thing than getting in a race and running yourself into the hospital.
Would you know that was what you're doing?
Me?
Yeah.
I hope so. I don't know if you saw the post that was just I Run Far about the Hagen Cup.
Yes, I did.
wrote.
Yeah, we wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
No, some people would tell me, some of my friends would tell me that I'm a little too cautious, that I have a governor and I have limits. I don't think that makes me less mentally tough, but
this is the friends of yours?
Yeah, sure.
See, I would go the other way. I would say it'd make you more mentally tough because you know when to, you know the limit. Don't go past that limit or I'm going to be injured,
yeah, but what if you don't? What if that keeps you from reaching your limit? Then you don't really know.
Well, Tim Twitmeyer semes to be good at it.
He's really good at it.
He's very good at knowing where that limit is.
That's what he says.
Yeah. He is, yeah.
Well, it has to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, no one stays healthy for that long. You know, what he did.
So you're not
model of that.
You're not sure then that you would know that you're...
Well, I had one bad year at Western States, 2010,
Okay.
It was not going that well, starting in Forest Hill on Cal Street.
So you've done almost 60 miles at this
Yeah,
point.
and stomach's kind of going a little bit sideways on me. And I get into Brown's Bar, and it's loud, and you can't even think in that aid station, right?
You're not supposed to.
Well, if you have a problem to solve, it's kind of important to be able to at least talk to the talk to the volunteers there, talk to the medical folks that could help you out. Not that they have medical folks there, but so I ended up eating a lot, or
What'd you eat?
soup.
What did you
I
eat?
think I had soup and Coke, and I may have tried a gel too. And
For people who
right
don't, who don't know what mile marker that is.
Oh, that's 89.9 miles. So you'd think you can smell the barn, but it's not quite close enough yet that you can just let go.
Right.
You run it on fumes. It's not that close. You got to go back down to the river and then up and then back down to the river and then up. So you still got some terrain ahead. And at the edge of the aid station, I puke everything up. And because I was already on fumes for a while, I really couldn't afford to just continue on. But I did, mostly because I just didn't want to stay in that loud environment. And
Come on, come on. There had
No,
to be
I
other
did.
reasons.
well, it's only 3 miles to Highway 49,
There
right?
you go. There,
So,
there you go.
but those were a long 3 miles, and I have a paramedic as a pacer,
That was good.
which ended up
That
being
was
a really
good.
good
That
thing.
was good, yeah.
But I started getting uncharacteristically just apathetic, and I'm in the race, right? And I'm a competitor. I'm not out there to just finish the thing. I'm trying to race against everybody. It's there. When someone comes in the aid station, they pass me. I feel it. I notice it. I'm not just trying to get to Auburn. And I end up getting on the climb out of the quarry, from the quarry road up to the Highway 49, and I end up laying down on the side of the trail.
You got a pacer, though.
I have a pacer, and he doesn't know what the heck's going on with me too.
What do I do with him now?
Well, it was actually pretty alarming because we didn't know if it was cardiac. We didn't know if it was fuel. We didn't know what it was.
You had no clue?
At the time, I
At the
did not
time.
have a clue.
Okay.
No, but I knew I had thrown everything up at 89.9. I knew I'd been on fumes for a long time. But I got to this weird place, mentally and physically, that I've never been.
Tell us what went through your head mentally.
I didn't care anymore.
About?
I didn't care about running. I didn't care about competing. I didn't care. I had totally lost all drive. It was really weird. And
Were you telling yourself that? I don't care anymore? Or why
no,
not?
I wasn't telling myself. That's just where I.
Were you
got
telling
to.
yourself anything? Any self-talk?
I don't remember. It was.
You don't remember?
I don't remember that. So we ended up getting.
But did you talk to your pacer?
Yeah, my pacer.
What did you say to him? Do you remember?
I wanted to lay down. I said I wanted to lay down. And I'd been blogging. I'd done synchro blogs about Western states, right? So everything was about Western states, and here I was, 8 miles from the finish, and I want to lay down. Not even at the aid station. So between Browns Bar and Highway 49, the 3.3 miles.
On the quarry trail.
So I get to the aid station, and they lay me down. I forget what my weight change was, but we tried to get things fixed, and because the paramedic friend was concerned that maybe there was some cardiac component, or we didn't know what was going on, so he didn't want me to go back out and be a liability to the race.
Right.
But then my brother, who's got one Western States finish, 28 hours. He says you could take an 8-hour nap here and walk in and still finish faster than I did.
So your time was good up to that point.
Yeah, I was running 19-hour pace or something.
That's good.
It was okay. I had been falling off the pace. Well, I wanted to run in the 17 hours. So
you did. Okay.
yeah, so I was already off. Okay. I was already off, but yeah, it's lots of time. So about 45 minutes on the cot and getting soup, and they took my blood pressure a few times, and my orthostatic change was pretty dramatic. When I was laying down, I was okay, and then sitting up, I was just plummeted. So Pacer still didn't trust that I was okay, that I wasn't going to want to lay down again.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I was probably hyponatremic, and I didn't know it at the time. But that was the guesses afterwards. And when I got to the finish, I finally walked in, finished in 22 hours and something. And well,
For most of us, that would have been great.
yeah, well, I had friends who had finished and called me while I was on the cot, so, including Megan Arbogast, who finished second that year. She passed me. What are you doing, Craig, on the cot? I'm finished. So you hang out with people like that. You know?
Yeah.
But my sodium was back to fairly close to normal. But I had plenty of time to reset it. You know? But that's probably what happened. That's the worst I got. And I didn't just push it all the way through. So
You did stop and take the time.
we stopped and took the time.
Took care of yourself.
Yeah.
So
I didn't just keep going.
how do you think, a Hagen Cup type thing would work?
Well,
Western states.
Well, if nothing else, I just want, going back to the original quote, I didn't take this job just to be the race director so that I could put the tents in the right spot. I wanted to have some influence on ultra running, and some of the stuff I've seen.
Well, tell us about that.
Well,
what your ideas are, because I know you have ideas.
I really think we need to be aware of what we're doing to our bodies and the impact that we have on our family members, on the race. If we run ourselves into the ground, right into the hospital, that's not good for anybody. It's not good for you. It's not good for your family. It's not good for the race. It's not good for the sport. So this Hagen Cup idea, if nothing, it raises awareness to that. It's not about, we shouldn't applaud running yourself into the ground when you're going across the line on your hands and knees.
Though.
We tend to, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we think that's tough. We think that's mentally tough or something. I don't quite get it.
I don't either. I mean, I watched Morrison. I was there at the finish, and that was just sickening to me to watch it. It didn't look good for the run. To me, it made the run look bad.
Right.
To see someone coming across, I wasn't impressed at all that this guy was half dead trying to get, looked like he was going to expire on the track from someone watching in the stands.
So one of my friends from Oregon, who's now the aid station captain at Brown's Bar, where I had my fun in 2010, was sitting in the stands with a couple from Auburn who had never seen the race before, and that's the first thing they saw, and they asked Rob, "Is this normal?"
Yeah.
Rob said, "No, not to this level. No, the winner usually crosses, and either he does rolls across the ground, or they're fine, or they look like they could just continue to run again." So no, that I really respect Brian. I've talked to him a lot, mostly via email since that incident, and he had a drive that was stronger than anybody that day, I think, but it wasn't well managed or put in the right perspective of what he was capable of doing.
So would you call what he did not mentally tough? What would you call it? Or stupid, like Tony would say?
I'm not going to call Brian stupid because
what he did.
I think there were other influences on Brian that day.
Okay.
And he had some external.
Stupid is probably the wrong word to use, but not.
Well, the idea that he was hurting himself.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to call him.
So
stupid.
okay. So what would be mentally tough? What would be your definition of mentally tough then?
Well, it's knowing when you can still push, you can still go on. You don't give in to the things that aren't life-threatening, and knowing, knowing the difference.
That's the tough part.
But you
It is tough.
You didn't know what was happening to you, though.
No, I didn't, but I didn't just keep pushing. And I'm not going to say that I'm better than Brian or
No,
better
we're not
than
talking
anybody else, but mentally tough. I've climbed several big walls and had to withstand some rain delays and hanging out on a wall with sheets of water coming down. That's mentally tough, staying up there when you could come back down. So
yeah, Brian didn't know that was happening to him. Really, did
Right.
he have an idea? He didn't have an idea that that's what he was doing to himself when he was doing it.
Well, did he?
Or did
Or did he?
I don't know. We'd have to ask
No,
Brian
have
I
to
that
don't
ask
question.
think he would. I don't think he would have.
Well, I don't know.
You should get him in here.
Yeah,
Interview
yeah.
him.
How
That
do you
would
know
be
that point?
in terms of.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
so
Mentally
defi-
tough. Mentally tough
definition, a
is not
definition.
just pushing yourself as hard as you can. I think it requires a little bit more understanding of your limitations and pushing all the way up to that without going over that. And withstanding elements and pain and discomfort that
Okay.
aren't gonna kill you.
But as you're running 17, 18, 19 hours, you don't always use good judgment. You're not thinking as clearly necessarily.
Hopefully you've done the training, and I think preparing yourself is the biggest component of how hard you can push.
Okay.
Right? If you're not trained to push that hard, that's when you're likely to get in trouble if you push beyond what you've trained for.
Okay. Well, tell us then how you train to be able to push.
Well,
What do you do?
Well, the downhills are hugely important. There's the quadricep necrosis that occurs when you're running all these miles downhill. You got to prepare the quads so that you can push hard, so that you can run.
What do you do?
Well, when I was training for it in Oregon, we had some hills that we would run. We did this thing, Rooster Rock, in the Menagerie Wilderness, east of Corvallis, and it was 9 miles and 2,250 feet, I think. Maybe it was more than that. And we would just go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So you do.
How many times?
I would only do 4 max of this 4
4
hills.
up, 4 down, 4 up. 4
Yeah,
down.
but my pacer, the paramedic guy, he did 8 of them once. So, but yeah, preparing your quads so that you can hammer hard, putting in a lot of miles, doing the 50-mile training runs, the Robinson Flat to the River run, important. The ice cream sandwich run, Tim Tweetmeyer Classic. Did he tell you about that?
He not in detail.
It's a great run, fantastic, fantastic run. So you start at Cal 2, which is at mile 70 point something.
Something like that, right?
You go up the course all the way to the Swinging Bridge, which is 45-ish, and it's hard going uphill. Doing the course backward is significantly harder than going in the proper direction. So you turn around and you come back up, and your first climb is Devil's Thumb from the Swinging Bridge. And when you get to Forest Hill, you're supposed to eat an ice cream sandwich and chase it down with a Mountain Dew or a Coke. I guess he did Code Red Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper, but we just relaxed it to any kind of Coke because it really matters. It's that carbonated. And then you run hard from Forest Hill to Cal 2. You're supposed to run 75 minutes or faster without puking.
Oh, after you have the ice cream.
Yeah, you got to pound it and then you run hard.
You run hard.
Yeah. So that's a great run. That can take anywhere from 10 to 12 hours to do. You're out there a long time, and you've learned to run with a little discomfort in your stomach. And you go through that when you hit Michigan Bluff and then Forest Hill, you've seen a lot of people, and it can deceptively feel like, wow, this must be close to the end because there's all these people. And then you get back on Cal Street, and pretty soon it's really remote. It feels like, where did I go? I've left civilization again. So focusing on pushing through that, it's kind of a mental toughness.
Well, yeah.
Pushing through that.
So pushing through means continuing.
Yeah,
Not
and running hard.
and running hard.
Running hard, yeah.
How would you define running hard?
Well, we're trying to run 75 minutes, which is pretty fast for those. At that point, you could go out there right now and run, under an hour pretty easily if you just started there. But 75 minutes at the end of a 50-mile run is pretty, with a belly full of ice cream sandwich and a Coke is pretty hard. Yeah. So that kind of those mental games and physical preparation. And by going 10 hours or 12 hours, you've got to deal with all the changes in your stomach pH and trying to get the metabolic game and the hydration and the electrolytes.
And how do you adjust for hydration and electrolytes? How do you know that you're hydrating yourself properly?
Well, now that Noakes has come out with waterlogged and all this new research, everything that we did in the past is now wrong. But yeah, apparently we don't need as much fluid or sodium as we thought. The sodium, I still have a hard time separating the fact that if I'm getting cramps or if I have stomach issues and I stop and I take an S-cap and they go away, I still have a hard time separating that correlation that, wow, I took this S-cap and I feel better, right? But as Marty has said, it could be something other than the actual sodium going into our bloodstream. It could be just the reaction of salt getting on our tongue, and just like glucose getting, your body gets the sense of glucose, like, oh, I'm okay now, right? Or it could be that you slowed down to take the S-cap, and it was the fatigue, it was the muscles going at harder than they're prepared to go. So just slow down and take an S-cap. That's why the cramps go away. So
because if you take the salt, it's not going to get in your system anyways for
right, and if
30 minutes.
And if you see
it's going to do anything,
people that are taking a lot of S-caps, they got sodium all over their body, right? So did they really need that sodium? Right? So, but it's still hard to it's hard to separate the correlation that hey, I took an S-cap, and
so,
but for me, especially up in Oregon and to a lesser degree down here, it's pretty cool in the first part of your training cycle. You start ramping up in January, February, and March, and your body has not heat trained at all. So the sodium that's coming out in your sweat is pretty high, and as you get fitter and fitter and fitter and more heat trained
the horses will do the same thing. You'll notice at the beginning of the year they got a really thick sweat that's really dirty, and after a month it's clear as can be. I mean, they go through the same process and
yeah, and so when you get closer to the race, you don't have as much salt on your skin.
Yeah.
So, I tried not to take as much sodium in training so that I could help that adaptation. I used to do that.
So does that mean you don't take any S-caps, or?
Well, I wouldn't take a whole lot. I would let it go to the point of cramps in training.
Okay.
So that the body would be motivated.
So you wouldn't take it as a precaution?
No, no. Whereas in a race, I would. I do.
In a race, you do?
Oh yeah.
You still do because you're
I
still not sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't totally trust Marty.
So at what point would you take an S-cap? How many hours or miles into the?
Well, in the early season races, in a 50K or 50 mile, I'd take an S-cap in the first hour.
The first hour?
Yeah, which is pretty early. But and I probably would at Western States again now, even knowing.
Even knowing.
I think so, until we figure out a little more about this why sodium, why
you-
it causes
yeah.
things to.
You
to
take
go
a
better.
lot of salt too. I mean, you're always.
I carry a tablet with me, and may take every hour, every couple hours.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I never. You have to almost force stuff on me. So
And you don't get cramps
No.
either.
I don't.
Well, you're probably fitter than I am then.
Maybe you're just running slow.
Like, well,
Maybe
I'm doing
that's
that too.
Yeah, and so you
that
don't
could be it.
you don't get the fatigue muscle
Well,
cramps.
to me, it's not. Well, for me, it seems fast, but to everyone else, it's slow.
Sorry, Tony.
That's okay. I can take it. So, what are in these boxes you brought?
Oh, this is runner swag. These are the carabiner mugs instead of travel mugs. We're gonna
Okay.
do Western States.
Pretty
So
neat.
you guys are the first to get these.
Oh,
The runners
wow.
will get them.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Are they numbered?
I think so. No.
They're not
There you
num-
go. You can clip it on.
Thank you. Yeah.
On your
That's
pack
wonderful.
or
All
whatever.
right.
You can drink your
All
coffee
right.
out of it.
All
or-
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It spills though. What about the top? Do you have
Yeah,
something
it's
for the
it's
top?
not that kind of mug, you know. It's not a sippy cup, Frank. I didn't know you needed a sippy cup. I mean, it's not about the age. But
All right. So, would you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and
my upbringing.
so? I know your mom lives in the
Auburn Lake
Trails, all
Trails,
trails,
near
right?
you, really close to you.
Real close. Tell us a little bit about
Well, my dad was in the Air Force.
your father.
Yep, my father.
Okay.
And so he was traveling all over.
So where were you born?
I was plopped out in I think we were in Sherman, Texas at the time, but we weren't there for very long.
Okay.
Ended up going to Michigan, and there's pictures and stories of me going out in the snow up to the top of the swing set
In Michigan?
in Michigan. But
I'm from Detroit, so
it was Marquette.
upper.
Yeah,
Upper.
and I don't remember anything about it
Okay.
at all. And then
Snow. Notice, Tony, snow.
snow. Yeah,
Skier.
maybe that's why I
skier.
skied.
Look at that. Look at that.
So then we ended up in the Bay Area, and we were going from house to house to house, mostly San Jose, but some Santa Clara. And parents got divorced when I was 12.
What was that like?
It was pretty hard. It was
Because
pretty
that's
rough.
about the time you started running.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that. I don't know if there's a correlation there, but yeah, the divorce was pretty hard.
In what
We
way?
we knew my brother and my sister. We knew that things were not good, and it wasn't easy on us.
How was it difficult on you?
Seeing my mom not happy, and it just wasn't fun to be in that kind of environment when they fought. And
Okay.
it's really common, right? So lots of marriages
Hard to
end in
talk
divorce,
about?
but yeah, it's pretty hard to talk about. Yeah, and I think it actually had a pretty big impact on who I've become.
Tell us.
I never blamed them for any troubles or anything that didn't go right for me. I never
Good,
blamed.
good
I
for
never
you.
blamed my parents
Good for
on
you.
that,
Good for you.
which I think it made me more self-reliant and it's me. I have total control of my destiny. It's not just the home environment that you come from. You can do anything with yourself. So they ended up splitting, and my mom remarried. And
Do you still have contact with your father?
my father passed away in 2000.
From
Before I got to run my first Western States.
from what?
He had a myocardial infarction. He was down in Mexico, and it took hours and hours and hours until they got
For
him
help.
to help. He ended up flying in a medevac jet, not a helicopter, but a jet. And when he landed in San Antonio, he went into cardiac arrest, and they couldn't get him back.
What age?
He was 60.
So there's a history then of
Mm-hmm.
cardiac stuff. And
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
not good.
It's not good. So we ended up moving with my stepdad and mom to Auburn Lake Trails.
Okay.
19
How come the Auburn Lake Trails?
well, there was going to be a big lake there.
That's
so
right.
It's supposed
Wanted
to be awesome.
on the lake.
You don't see the lake? You can't see the lake?
I don't know. It was kind of weird because my stepdad was working in Sacramento when we lived in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And then we move out here, and he gets a job at SRI, Stanford Research Institute, back down in Palo Alto. So,
Really?
but it was a beautiful place to. I mean, 7th grade, I started exploring in the canyons. And, I mean, I'm very grateful that we got out of the Bay Area and I got to come up here and see some of these canyons and play in the river.
Did you do that alone or with your brother?
Usually my brother.
So you have 2 brothers?
I have a brother and 2 stepbrothers.
Two stepbrothers.
One of them lived out here with us for a while.
Okay.
They lived in Florida. After that, they were in Florida.
Okay.
And
So you and your brother, is he older?
my brother's younger, but he looks older. Everybody thinks it's the other way around.
How old are you?
I'm 49.
He's not in your age group.
He's
Tony.
young. Now he's
not,
young.
He's not in your age group.
I don't need a sippy cup yet.
You don't need a sippy cup.
Or I'll bring you sippy cups next time.
Okay. So.
Yeah, and then I have a sister too. She went to Placer High School.
Okay. Okay.
We didn't have as much in common as my brother and I did, so we didn't do as much with her. And her going to Placer High School and I was.
Is she a runner too, or she?
No, she was an athlete, field hockey and basketball. She's a very good athlete, but not a runner.
So the brother that did the 28 hours.
Yeah.
He's the one that said you could take 8 hours and still beat his
That
time.
would be the same guy. Yeah.
Sense of humor. Sense of humor.
He's serious like I am most of the time. Yeah.
So did you train with him at all?
Oh, he's much slower than I am, so
No.
no. He actually runs these. He's run Waldo, the race that I put up in Oregon. This will be his 10th time, and he lives in Flagstaff. He goes into the big hole every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. That's it. Doesn't run on a daily basis. He's not a runner. He doesn't call himself a runner. And then he goes and he runs these things. And he trained a little bit more for Western States, but if he actually trained, he would be a lot faster runner. But he doesn't train. He's not a daily runner.
Okay.
I'm trying.
So,
Go ahead.
so what's this this nickname you have?
Lord Balls. Yeah, most people think it's got some perverted meaning, and I let people think that if they want.
Do you know the meaning?
That's fine. Oh yeah, I know the meaning.
Oh,
yeah.
you do? Okay.
Yeah, and I'll
Well,
tell you, and you're going to start crying here.
Well, I
when
looked
tell
it
you,
up.
so.
Actually.
Yeah, so my stepdad's mother lived at a home in Auburn here.
Okay.
This was 2004, I think. Yeah, 2004. And I'm racing for the top 10, trying to get that coveted 10th spot so I can get invited back next year, not going through the lottery. And I come into Forest Hill, and I'm probably in, well, you read in the stats, maybe was I in 16th place or something. I still had work to do, but I was positioned really well. And I force a bunch of food down, and I run down Forest Hill Road, and I end up losing it all. So my stepdad comes out, and he offers to get me a napkin out of the car that's parked somewhere away. And I said, no, I think I'll pass on the napkins. I'll just squirt the big chunks off, squirt water on the big chunks. And well, apparently his mother was there through this whole thing, and I never saw her at all. I had no idea she was there. Right? Well, I was a little bit distracted. I'm racing, and then I have the throw up stuff, and I'm not too proud that I didn't see her. I'm not proud of that. But I saw her later. That must have been Sunday, and she goes, "Yeah, I was in Forest Hill, and you ran by like you were Lord Balls or something." Well, I've never heard her say this to her, but apparently she had used it regularly, and then she passed away not much longer after that. So,
what is Lord Balls?
It's just somebody who thinks highly of themselves. Like they.
Yeah, Irish
think
slang. So you're.
It's a slang that. I was too good to
Good
say
to stop.
hi,
Yeah, to
stop
stop
and say hi to her.
Okay.
It was Lord Balls or something. So most trail names, people that I run with, we don't let them pick their own name, but for some reason I got to pick my own. So and I did. So I took it. I adopted the name. And people think what they want about the name, but that's what it is.
Cute.
Kind of cute. Yeah. Yeah.
So, your wife's a runner too, right?
She probably wouldn't call herself a runner.
What would she call herself?
She's done, I think, 12 ultras, 12 50Ks.
Okay.
Couple marathons, maybe 5 or 6 marathons. But she didn't run in high school. She never ran competitively.
Okay.
But you know, I hang around all the folks that I hang around with. She doesn't sit in the room and identify herself as a runner.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell? We only have about 30 seconds left. Is there anything that you want to share with your fans?
Well, the race is in 8 days, and I think it's actually going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be fun.
Where would be a good place for fans to watch?
Forest Hill is going to be great. Michigan Bluff would be really great. There's a little shuttle going to Michigan Bluff.
Okay.
The town's going to be, the town's hopping, and it's a short shuttle. Drive into the Michigan Bluff Road right to Chicken Hawk.
It's always fun there.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. And Ann Trayson has been coming out again, so yeah. So it's pretty neat. She worked at Aid Station at Memorial Day weekend there in Michigan Bluff. So and Carol Hewitt and all her friends, Bill Davis, Joan Scannell, they'll probably be there. So it's a really neat place to see some people that have been passionate about the race for a long time.
We didn't do that part. We just did the middle day.
Forest Hill down, yeah. Forest Hill.
Cal Street?
Cal Street, yeah.
Yeah. So Michigan Bluff, Forest Hill really fun. And if you can get down to the river crossing, it's a bit of an effort to get down there.
49, yeah. You mean 49?
From Driver's Flat or from Slager Mine.
Okay.
That's an incredible operation down there. Worth seeing. Crossing the river, mile 78. And then the finish, Placer Heights.
Okay.
Finish is going to be great.
Super. Anything else in finishing?
I don't know. Get to the finish line in one piece. Take care of yourself. Don't go right to a cut and need an IV.
Well, thank you for coming on, Craig. It's been fun.
It has fun. It was fun for me too. Good break from all the emails.
You might be text though, right?
No, there's probably 20 or 25. How long? We've been an hour.
Yeah.
There's probably 25 messages. Right
Is that what you've been getting?
Yeah.
So what happens?
Well, and then the good thing about the middle of the night is people don't send me emails. So